with Pro Performance here. We're going to show you the install process of the Aldan coilover setup for the 88 to 98 OBS trucks. Right now, we got a 4 or 5.5 inch drop on this 99 two-door. We're going to show you that you can easily install this kit in your garage, simple hand tools. Really, the main reason we're doing it is one, because of handling characteristics, better ride quality, and we want to bring down the front just a little bit, so we should be able to get a tad more drop out of it. And again, right now this has a 2-inch Beltec spring in it, so follow us along. We'll show you how easy it is to install and the process of what it is to install that Aldan coilover setup. All right, so we're going to start out by measuring the current height of the front of the truck. So right here, and this is all settled, we haven't jacked it up yet or anything, so this is basically how I drive it every day. 28.5 about, and that's on the passenger side. Let's come around and we'll measure the driver's side. Right there, about 28 3/8. So what's nice too about the Aldan is it is adjustable, so even if you have that Chevy lean, you can go ahead and adjust it out right with the coilovers. All right, so first we're gonna release the sway bar because our plan is to leave everything intact except for the lower ball joint. So we just pop the lower ball joint, let the arm swing down, put in the coilover. So we'll start by removing the sway bar.
And yes, we're just in the garage. There's kids in the background playing, having fun. We're working on trucks.
All right, I know it's a struggle sometimes to get the top nut off the shock shaft. So if you leave all of the weight and the pressure from the spring on there and take the top nut off first, it'll keep pressure on it and then it won't spin that shaft in the shock. It'll pop right off. All right, we got the spring out. We did that by breaking the lower ball joint, and then we broke the steering arm too out of there so we can swing the spindle away and then go ahead and release the lower ball joint. That releases the lower arm, it'll swing down. We got the old spring out. Now we're gonna get the coilover out, assemble it. Comes pre-assembled, but assemble it, get it ready to go in, and then we'll show you how that goes into the spring pocket. All right, so this is the Aldan coilover setup. This is how it comes out of the box. Coils. Coilover setup. We'll kind of show you how these fit in there and how they work with the OE arms. And these right here are the thrust bearings. So this will make it really easy to adjust once it's on the truck. You don't need that, that's a nice add-on because it'll make it really easy to adjust them without taking so much weight off the vehicle. Spanner wrench. Hardware. Always gonna stay. Alright, so here's what comes in the kit. Like we talked about the coilover themselves. It's got the stud style top mount, so that'll go in the same spot where your upper shock did. Lower T-bar mount, that's actually gonna fit into the lower mount for the shock, except it's not gonna go, obviously not up through the bottom. It's gonna sit on top. And then we're gonna end up having to drill out the holes in the lower control arm to 3/8 to run the bolts through instead of threaded into the lower control arm like your shock would be, because there's obviously a lot more pressure on this. So it's coilover, spring, this will be your upper side, that'll seat into the spring pocket. Then this lower will obviously go on the adjustment collar on the coilover. Coilover base, as you can see here, it has the adjustment ring here. There's already anti-seize on there, but if you are adjusting all the way up, you'll want to add some more anti-seize. So this will be your adjustment collar, and this is your locking collar to make sure it stays set. So we're gonna leave it pretty much all the way down at the bottom because we wanna maximize the drop when we're doing this. We did opt for the optional thrust bearings. This is gonna make it easier to adjust with the weight of the vehicle on it and just easier in general because I'll show you here. It's basically like a little thin ball bearing. So they do recommend putting some grease on it. Just kind of coat it a little bit. Slide this over. Then one more ring. And then the spring itself. So you can see here, so when you go to rotate that, it's gonna move nice and free for adjustments. So this is pretty much assembled. It doesn't seem like it is, but once we put it up in the spring pocket, this is gonna seat up at the top of the spring pocket. We'll obviously have to remove this, the upper bushing. we'll need a wrench for that. But we're gonna pull that off just like you would a shock, and then we're gonna stick it through the upper hole for the shock. That'll hold everything kind of in place so we can swing up the lower arm, which we'll show you next. So we'll get that removed and then we'll place them in the truck. Before we can install it, we do have one step that we have to do. We got to drill out the lower control arm. So right here you can see where the original shock went. These are threaded bolts, and usually what happened was the shock came in through the bottom and bolts came in through the bottom and threaded into this. Now, since the whole weight of the vehicle is going to be on that coilover, and obviously it won't fit through the hole, you're going to place the coilover on the top of the control arm, but we do have to drill these ones out to 3/8 to accept the new hardware. Coilover is in place. We got the upper mount just snugged on there right now, and it's hanging loose. So what we'll do is we'll jack up the lower arm, we'll bring it up, put just a little bit of tension on it to make sure we get the upper spring seated, and then we'll go ahead and run our 3/8 bolts through here that we just drilled out for. Get those just to 35 foot-pounds, it says. Then we'll go ahead and snug the top up more, then put the weight of it on there, and then we can go ahead and check the height and go from there. Then obviously we have to do the other side. Just got finished installing the kit. Took us about 2 to 3 hours to install. So we'll see how much it lowered. This side was 28 3/8. So we're about 26 3/8. So I would say probably you can get down, technically that's a 4-inch drop because we had a 2-inch spring in there before. So to answer all your guys' questions, yes, you can do a 3-inch drop out of it. It was 28.5. This is now 26.5. So yeah, well, I'll probably bring it up about a 1/2 inch, maybe leave it, but yeah, easy install, everything went smooth. Like I said, about 2 to 3 hours to put them in. So, and this kit sells for $4.95, and we have it on our website.